Hello and welcome to yet another Doctor Who DVD review. In this DVD review I shall be looking at the Web of Fear limited edition slipcase from the BBC shop. So there are two ways of buying this DVD. One is like this, the limited edition slipcase, which is a BBC shop exclusive, and the other one is just the standard one, which we shall have a look at in a minute. But first of all, let's have a look at the cover of the slipcase. So at the top we've got the BBC logo, Doctor Who, and we've got this nice writing of the Web of Fear with some cobwebs around the actual text. Then we have some circles. Then we have the underground, sort of background. Then we've got the second Doctor, a yeti with a web gun. One of the yeti spheres, control spheres, and the device the Doctor sits in. Limited edition, PG. On the side, it's just gold, Doctor Who, Web of Fear, PG, BBC. On the back, we have some pictures from the story, a bit of text on what the story's about. The story's by Mervyn Haseman and Henry Lincoln. Special features, there are quite a few. That's me saying it quite jokingly, because like the Enemy of the World, there's only practically two special features, and that is Available Now trailer, which is the advertisement for the Enemy of the World, and digitally remastered picture and sound quality. This story was first broadcast on the 3rd of February to the 9th of March 1968. Okay. So that's the slipcase. It looks rather nice. I do prefer the slipcase cover to the one I'm going to show you now. I have flipped the cover over so it sort of matches the other DVDs. So yeah, let's have a look at this cover. So we have the second Doctor, Yeti, TARDIS covered in the cobwebs, Professor Travis, and we've got the underground for a background. PG, DVD, we have this dark navy blue banner with a Patrick Troughton date on there. On the spine, Web of Fear with the underground sort of leaking onto the spine. There we go. On the back we have the same pictures as before and the same text. So if we quickly have a look inside this DVD. So there we have the disc and the booklet, which I'll quickly show you guys now. Just put that at the back. So on page 1 of the booklet, we have a bit of text about the Web of Fear and how it was discovered, because this is one of the stories that was announced back in October alongside the Enemy of the World. So you can see there. And then we have the chapter points. That's basically the booklet, really. So I just put the slipcase back on, and I'll go through my thoughts. Now, I do like the Web of Fear. It's one of those stories I really wanted to be rediscovered, and thankfully it has been unearthed, and now we can enjoy the Yeti. So my thoughts on the story is, the Web of Fear is a very atmospheric. The sets themselves give this claustrophobic feel to them, you know, being in this confined space, etc., of the underground and all that. The location filming is brilliant, especially in episode 4. Episode 4 is my favourite part because of the fight sequence, what easily rivals the invasion fight scene. And I think it's by the same director who directed The Invasion, which is Douglas Camfield, one of my favourite Doctor Who directors, because he gives this sort of film quality. I suppose he's better for directing film, but when he films it, it almost feels like Doctor Who is a film. So if you're watching this in one go, I suppose it has that film element. After all, they did show it in London at one of the cinemas, I think, on the big screen. I bet it looked really cool. The Yeti, they work well in this setting as they lumber across the underground and the Covent Garden. And their eyes work well because they glow and they give this eerie effect in the darkness. The Yeti themselves, they've got a redesign, because before they were this quite chubby things, that's what you could call them, chubby, from the Abominable Snowmen, but now they've got this sort of slimmer look, if you like, and they're armed with web guns, and the web guns work really well actually. I do like the idea of them firing this web and then people are dead. This is the first story to introduce Colonel Lethbridge Stewart, or we best know him as Brigadier. But sadly, episode 3 is still not with us, and that's the stop the party is introduced in. And yeah, I mean, a lot of us, like me, were hoping that episode 3 would be animated. But sadly, it's the iTunes release with telesnaps, which is okay, but I sort of lost interest in part 3, in where I just was doing other things. I still was listening to it, but I didn't sort of get the enjoyment as I would have if it was animated. So this could be, well, I think they'll probably re-release Enemy of the World and the Web of Fear in a box set. After all, Enemy of the World does sort of link with the Web of Fear. So there we are, that's a possible box set with special features, and hopefully animated episode 3 for the Web of Fear. Hopefully they will do that, because that would be a brilliant thing to have. Professor Travers is one of my favourite performers in this story. Jack Watling, who was Deborah Watling's father, who played Professor Travers, if you didn't know, who played a dual role, the Professor himself, and sort of being taken over by the Great Intelligence, he does a brilliant job creating this sort of eerie sort of voice, and it's just whispery, eerie voice. It's like a Zygon, in a way. It works brilliantly. It's just really creepy. It adds to the eeriness. I don't think this story would have the same effect if it was in colour, because you'll sort of lose the darkness and the mysteriousness of it being in black and white. Patrick Troughton, again, like his usual self. This is on fine form, being once again the bumbling cosmic kobold we all love. Yes. So the Web of Fear, I think, is a brilliant story, but there is one character what loads of people have mentioned in their reviews, which is the driver, who's this Welsh driver, and whether he's meant to be the comedy in the story, because this is quite a dark story, whether he's meant to shine a bit of humour into the story. He just keeps on saying the same old sort of joke, oh, I'm the driver, you see, I don't do this sort of stuff. And it gets a bit annoying. I mean, he practically says that in every episode, and he's just like, oh, Yeti, kill him. But at the end, he gets picked up by a Yeti, which I suppose is quite funny, him being carried by 2 Yetis, which is quite funny. Probably the only funny that I sort of laughed at, really. But yeah, the driver, I suppose he is a Marmite character. But the Web of Fear is brilliant. This is a story I've been wanting to see since I listened to the audio, and I'm so glad it's been found, especially episode 4, because episode 4 is the episode or part I think everybody wanted to see how the Yeti take on the military, which is just a brilliant, and it really does show the power of the Yeti, what they have. But yes, it is brilliant. The sets are fantastic, the direction is brilliant, everything about this story is brilliant. This easily rivals Tomb of the Cybermen for me. It's probably about the same. I probably like it the same as Tomb of the Cybermen. I do regard Tomb of the Cybermen as one of the best stories. So obviously the Web of Fear is one of the best. I think it is a dark horse. I think that will take over Tomb of the Cybermen in the polls when they next do a episode survey. I can easily see the Web of Fear beating Tomb of the Cybermen and possibly becoming the all-time greatest classic story. Possibly. Maybe that's a bit of a overstatement, but we'll see. But the Web of Fear is fantastic. This claustrophobic and dark and eerie story is easily one of the best stories of the Troughton era what is existing. So this has been my review of the Web of Fear. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. The Web of Fear, as I've said, I keep on saying, is a definite pickup. Even if you're a new series fan and you want to try and get into the classics, this is a story to get into. This is a story how to get into the classics. This is a brilliant story. Yeah, so my next review will be of the Silver Turk, which is, I think it's the first Mary Shelley adventure. I'm not too sure. But yeah, the Web of Fear, I would highly recommend. I suppose you could pick up this from the BBC shop, or you could just get the one, just get it standard without the slipcase. But either way, you're still getting this fantastic story. So I highly recommend the Web of Fear.